Hey guys, it's Gaymer, and today I am playing non-linear text quests, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be exactly what it says on the tin. It's going to be a bunch of non-linear text-based game things, I guess. I don't know which one to start with. Let's see. I guess just am I a monster? You have become a werewolf, but that beastly appearance is not as dangerous as the beast growing inside you. Are you a monster or a human? That's the answer you need to discover. Look at those felted looking cat dogs. That's what they look like. Let's start this one. Okay, English. Am I a monster? Oh man, it looks so rough. You woke up lying on the pavement. The full moon had already shown up from behind the roof and was shining brightly in your face. Not a single soul was around. Weird. How long have I been lying here? Nobody even called an ambulance, you thought to yourself, slowly walking along the street. In the distance, you heard the sound of sirens. You turned around the corner and faced a group of people. Wolf! Wolf! Someone screamed. People rushed in all directions. Saving yourself from the beast, you ran together with them. You looked back a couple times, full of fright, expecting to see an open, toothy mouth, but there was nothing behind you. Finally, you decided to separate yourself from the mad group and turned into an alleyway and hid behind a garbage can. You carefully looked from behind the cover and saw two policemen. They were walking right towards you. The wolf really is here then, you thought to yourself, growing cold with fear. You nervously began to look around. Suddenly, you saw something dark and hairy by the opposite wall. Your heart thumped loudly, and your ears were ringing in fear. The next moment, in spite of the panic clutching at your chest, you made a frightening discovery. On the opposite wall, you were looking into a mirror that someone had thrown away. Wow, what are the odds of that? The reflection in it was yours. I'm a monster, you screamed with despair, but the police officers heard only a terrifying howling. It became clear that they were coming to kill you. You need to run. But where? To the left and right, where there were houses. Behind them was a 3-meter concrete fence and a bunch of armed men in front of it. I don't know, let's jump the fence. It was not the best idea to run toward the armed policemen. You turned your head back and longingly looked at the fence. No man can jump that high. But when you heard gunshots, your body began to move instinctually by itself. You took hard off the ground and rocketed into the air, landing on the other side of the fence. No time to waste before your pursuers would find a roundabout way. You ran through the narrow streets up the hill and down dale, trying to get as far from them as possible. Like a hairy whirlwind, you ran into a side street and nearly bumped into a struggling couple. It appeared that another crime was in progress. A muscular, skinny fellow wearing a mask and a leather jacket was quietly trying to snatch a bag from a woman. Oh yeah, a bag of baguettes and apples. She was trying to fend him off. The sight of your appearance struck them like lightning. The woman's eyes bugged out. She immediately released her bag and she ran behind the corner screaming. The mugger stepped back to the wall, brandishing the knife in his fist. Let's eat him. Let's just eat him. Look at that. Only now, looking at this trembling man, you felt a wild hunger, like it was burning you from within. Slowly, looking at the mugger, you began to approach him. The guy's nerves wavered. He dropped his knife and stolen bag, and he ran, screaming loudly. But you were faster. By a single quick bound, you jumped up to him and bit him into his throat. As your praise scream died on his lips and you began the horrible feast. You were running down the night streets and armed people loomed behind every corner. The wind in your ears seemed like bullets whizzing by. But the most important question was what or who made you into a wolf? You were absolutely sure that no animal bit or even scratched you. You were confused. Now there were fewer houses on the street. It looked like the edge of town. You clearly remembered that there was a zoo somewhere near with a wolf cage in it. Currently, people were more dangerous to you than wolves, and a crazy idea came to your mind. What if you could lose your pursuers by hiding in the wolf pack at the zoo? At least you'd survive the night. What would happen next, you tried not to think of. It was easy to hop over the wolf enclosure fence, much easier than the concrete wall. The scared wolves huddled up, looking at you with their teeth bared. It appeared they felt that you were the wrong wolf to mess with, but seeing that you didn't intend to attack, eventually they calmed down and returned to their routine. I like that we have a badge on. You noticed that the wolves lost interest in you and preferred not to come close, so you stopped showing your teeth and made yourself comfortable on the grass. After some time, you heard voices in the alley. Flashlight beams were sliding over the roads, enclosures, and grass. Soon, 3 men came up to the enclosure you were in. 2 of them definitely were cops. You bared your teeth again. You sure everything's normal, old man? Harshly asked one of the cops. Are your animals all here? They lit the enclosure with the beams. It lit up the pack and you. Hey, light up this one again, the beam returned. You froze, your muscles strained. This one doesn't look like mine. What does it have on its neck? Is that a cell phone? Oh, it's a cell phone. Okay, yeah, because that's a normal way to carry a phone. You decided not to find out what was on your neck, but instead made another jump over the fence and rushed off down the road. The police obviously weren't as fast as you and were slow to react, but they grabbed their guns and opened fire at you. You shuddered and shrieked when one of the bullets hit you. Trying to ignore the pain, you hurried to run as fast as possible. Luckily, you met no more cops on your way. Whoa, look at this body. My. You were running down the night streets as fast as you could, and soon the many-story buildings gave way to small private houses. You found a broken, half-ruined shack and decided to wait there for dawn. You curled yourself up into a ball and fell asleep. The morning chill woke you up at the crack of dawn. You snuck into the neighboring courtyard and took a shirt and a pair of trousers off their clothesline. That's lucky. You quickly got dressed and headed towards the highway. You felt like yourself again, with the exception of feeling heavy remorse about the pathologist. Okay. But the most important question was what or who made you turn into a wolf. You was absolutely sure that no animal bit or even scratched you. You were confused. As ill luck would have it, there were no cars on the road when you badly needed to get home. Moreover, you were hungry again. You saw a bar for truck drivers behind the trees and decided to go there. You sat at a table and then with frustration remembered that you had no money. You absentmindedly checked the trouser pockets and found a wrinkled note. That should suffice for a cup of tea. Your privacy was interrupted by a bearded man in a checkered shirt who sat at your table. "Good morning to you," said the man. You didn't want to talk. You unwillingly nodded in response with a dissatisfied grimace on your face. Like he's got a little pinky. He's got his pinky up, too. Look how proper this guy is. "Had a rough morning?" the bearded man kept asking. "Hell yeah," you snapped. "Splendid," cried the man. "You are a typical werewolf." "What?" You didn't understand. "You see, I didn't work as a truck driver my whole life. Actually, I'm a philosopher, but living on a teacher's salary," he sighed. "Anyway, so seeing you, I somehow remembered a mythical creature, a werewolf. But nobody bit me," you said, as though you weren't sure why. "That's not necessary to become one," said the man, happy to find you finally opening up to the conversation. You were all ears. "It's just enough to put a wolf pelt on, pronounce a spell, and the job is done." "Oh, did we forget that we did that or something?" Oh, the waitress brought some tea, but you were deep in thought. You recollected that a few days ago you visited the country home of an acquaintance of yours, and you actually tried a wolf pelt on there. "And the most interesting part," the philosopher continued, "the best way to kill such a werewolf is to drive a hawthorn stake into him. I see you don't want your tea. I'll drink it while it's warm." After those words, the man took the glass and took a large gulp before you could stop him. "Ah, wonderful. You should have drunk the tea. It's very good." You turned purple with rage. Purple. You turned purple with rage, stood up and nearly ran out of the bar, trying not to hear what your new acquaintance was saying behind your back. You decided to take a rest in the neighboring grove, and in the evening, go visit the scoundrel who had put a spell on you. You hid in the shrubs and fell asleep, lulled by the peaceful buzzing of bees. When your dreams released you, it was already dark. You were starving. You left your shelter and noticed the philosopher leaving the bar. How long was he there for? Oh my god. Anger seized you like a whirlpool. "Let's eat him." The bearded man turned to face the wall and stood still, probably taking a leak. You silently sneaked up on him and waited until he turned around. Then you jumped on the tea lover's chest and bit him to death before he could even squeak. After you'd gorged yourself on the lavish meal, you jogged to the house of your enemy, trying to keep closer to the cover of the trees. To take a shortcut, you decided to go through the forest. You soon noticed two paths. It would be more convenient to take one of the paths, but which one? You sniffed the paths. Some new but very familiar smell lured you to the right. Go right then. You turned right. It seemed that the forest became thicker. The smell that lured you became stronger. There was obviously some rustling in the shrubs. You stopped, waiting for someone to come through. Another wolf slowly went out of the shrubbery on the forest road right in front of you. A she-wolf, to be precise. "Who are you?" you quickly asked. "I'm a werewolf, just like you," she answered. "After my transition, I hid myself here, so we live here all together now." "Are there many of you?" you asked in surprise. "No, just 5. You can stay with us," she proposed. It sounded quite tempting, but you wanted to know why you were enchanted and to take your revenge. "I need to finish some business first," you said, "but maybe I'll be back." After those words, you ran off. Soon you were faced with more fork in the road. Turn left. You decided to turn left. Suddenly, you heard a slight rustle. Somebody was coming towards you. You hid in the shrubs and saw a late-night traveler. He was walking along the path, fearfully looking around. Eat him! Why not?" You had no beastly hunger, but it would be foolish to miss an easy prey. When the man unwittingly approached the ambush, you attacked him with lightning speed. Apparently, the victim didn't even have time to realize what was happening when you bit through his throat. Your animal senses told you that your enemy's house was close. You increased the pace. You finally approached your enemy's house. You recognized a heavyset, large mansion. A heavyset mansion? What? A heavyset, large mansion with a neglected garden that smoothly blended with the forest that you came from. Its cast iron fence was all covered in twining plants, and the forest trees stood very close to it. You slowly began to creep towards the entrance. Suddenly, you heard a roaring, and a wolf with an open muzzle appeared in front of you. That was a large beast, bigger than you. You prepared to fight, but the monster did not attack. He loudly drew air in through his nose and spoke to you. Who are you? Where did you come from? The owner of this house made me look like this. I came here to settle the score with him, you honestly answered. Did you try on that wolf skin too? Asked the beast, much softer this time. Yes. He transformed me the same way. Now I'm something like a watchdog to him, the werewolf said. I can never be human again. Do you have a chance? I don't know, but I hope so. You remembered your recent encounter and explained, why don't you go to the forest? And roam alone there? No. You can live in the wolf pack I just saw, you suggested. Really? You told the poor fellow where to find other werewolves, and he immediately ran into the forest to join them. The path was free. There were no more obstacles. With a sinking heart, you entered the house. You could smell your enemy's scent everywhere. Your acute beastly hearing detected some noise coming from the room on the second floor. You silently ran up the stairs and took a peek through a slightly open door. It was him, the culprit of your misery. You instantly felt a burst of rage. Your eyes became bloodshot. You could not control yourself any longer. You broke into the room with a loud growling. After you had taken enough pleasure in seeing your enemy trembling with fear, you knocked him to the floor. The last thing he was able to do was to make a horrible scream before you bit through his throat. You waited until morning, and then found a pair of trousers, a shirt, and some boots. You dressed and went back home. Unfortunately, the next night, you transitioned into a werewolf again. The end. Cool. So that was that one. That was Am I a Monster? Let's do the next one. Return of Red Riding Hood New Adventures. This is a sequel. I don't know about the first one, and I don't know where to get the first one from, so we'll just start on the sequel, I guess. Oh, my. Ooh. Wow. That's a lot. Oh, my. I covered you with a blanket, put the lamp on. Now sleep. But Mother always tells me stories before I go to sleep. You can do without a story for one evening. Tomorrow you'll have your mother and her stories back. No, I can't fall asleep that way, the girl began to whimper. Please read to me. Oh, okay, grumbled her brother, who was sitting on the edge of her bed. Just don't cry. Which tale do you want? Red Riding Hood. Fine. Here we go. Won't you get the book? It's in the bookcase on the lower shelf. What for? I remember the story. Now listen. Oh, this is different. Okay, this is different. I guess next. In one village, there was a little girl so lovely that no other girl was her equal. Her mother loved her to distraction, and her grandmother loved her even more. For her birthday, her grandmother presented her with a red hood. The girl always wore her new, smart hood every day. The neighbors would say, "There goes Red Riding Hood." Once her mother decided to bake some pastries, but she wasn't sure what filling to choose. Let Little Red Riding Hood find filling. Okay, so one time Mother started a grand cooking task. Red Riding Hood decided to help her. First, decorate the tables with flowers. While Mother was preparing the dough, Red Riding Hood decided to decorate the table with flowers. Oh, okay, so I guess this is how we make our choices, and this is what? Oh, it's like point and click now? You can inspect the location by clicking on items marked by... Oh, look at that. That's interesting. The dwelling of Red Riding Hood and her mother was a small timber house with plain furniture. There's a dresser by the wall in the center of the room, a table. Or I guess I could go back out to the garden. Let's look at the dresser. A big dresser. Red Riding Hood can open the cupboard. The big cupboard filled with dishes. There's a beautiful vase. I took the vase. Cool, let's go back. You need to look at the vase, okay? Look at the vase. A medium-sized vase with a large neck. Great. That was worth it. Let's look at the table. A wooden table. To place the vase in the table, click on it in the inventory. A gear will... Oh, okay. And then... There we go. Red Riding Hood put the vase on the table. And then let's go to the garden, and let's pick some flowers. And let's go back to the house and put the flowers in the vase. Oh, I need to fill the vase with water first from the well. Let's get the rope in the bucket, and let's put the rope and the bucket together, and a bucket with a rope. Oops. Put the bucket with the rope on the well. And then we will go back to the house, put the bucket with the vase, and then the peonies in the vase. Red Riding Hood tried to put the peonies in the vase, but the flowers were too tall. Red Riding Hood wanted to break the stems, but didn't want to spoil the flowers. You need to look for other flowers for the vase. No, we need to go to the forest, okay? The weather was great. Awesome. Flowers. Now we can go home. House. Some forest flowers with the vase. Good. Red Riding Hood put the flowers in the vase. Beautiful. Now you can help Mother bake pastries. Mother is standing by the kitchen table preparing everything for cooking. You can talk with her, and if you found something, you can give it to her. Let's talk to her first. I'd like to bake the pastries for your grandmother. Please bring me something to... Okay, so just the filling. Let's do ham and cheese. All right, bring me some ham and cheese. I see. Okay. Where are we supposed to find ham and cheese at? Let's look around the house. What's the oven? An oven fork for the pot is nearby. Stove. What about the hatch? Food's probably down there. You just... Oh, it's too high. Let's use the oven fork. No. Is there anything in the dresser? Okay, now there's more stuff in the dresser, even though I thought we already got everything from it. Let's take the slipper. No. Knife. The rope. Candle. Cookbook. Let's put the rope on the hatch. Rope is too short. Rope on the fork. The knife. The candle. I don't know. Let's go to Mother. Let's give her the... Whoops. Okay, we can't give her that. Does she need the knife? Does she need an oven fork? No? Okay, then let's go to the garden. Fruit trees and bushes were growing up on the left side, and on the right side, there's a well with a small vegetable garden, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Let's go to the forest real quick, actually. Okay, we need something to put... Okay, let's go to the vegetable garden. Tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, marrows. There's no need to cut it. Okay, to the barn. The empty sack. Shelves with spices. Check the shelves. Oh my. Cool. White grains, which turn to be sweet. Why don't we use the sack? Okay. That's not helpful. It's in the shed. A shelf and a ladder. Let's look at the shelf. A lamp. A mirror. Red Riding Hood looked into the mirror. Suddenly, sounded a dry cough, and then the girl heard, "If you want to live, stay away from peat bogs. Pah, I mean from coniferous forests." Some nonsense. Okay. That made no sense to me, but all right. Let's do the ladder. Back to the garden, to the house. We have a ladder now that we're just casually carrying around, and we're going to use that to open the hatch. Lifted the ladder and gently dropped it down into the cellar. Now you can go down there. Oh, it's up here. Go to the cellar. Candle. I have a candle. Oh, but I don't have a way to light it. Shit. Oh, let's light this candle at the stove. And then now let's go to the cellar. Great. And barrel with milk, vinegar. We need the ham, so we'll take a piece of that. Barrel with milk. I can't do anything with that. Go back up. Go to Mother. Let's give Mother ham. Good job. You found the filling, Mother praised Red Riding Hood. Now bring me some pepper, please. It's going to be delicious. Here's a bag. Okay, great. Great. To the garden. The window. Onto the wall. Anyway, to the barn. Shelves with spices. We will use... What are we supposed to use for it? The sack or the... Oh, no, a bag for spices. Check the shelves. I think this is pepper. Quickly filled up her bag. Okay, good. Good. Garden. To house. To Mother. Seasoning bag. Give that to her. Yes, this is pepper. Well done. Well done, Mother praised her daughter again. Now I can bake pastries. Mother sliced the ham along with onion and began to fry it. Now it was time to prepare the dough. She suddenly remembered that she'd forgotten to season the filling. The woman called for her daughter and asked for her to help. Red Riding Hood came into the room, seasoned the stuffing with some salt and pepper, and then tasted it. It seemed to her that there was not enough spices. Put in more pepper. She took the mortar with freshly pounded pepper and began seasoning the ham. The stone mortar was very heavy, and Red Riding Hood was carelessly holding it loosely over the frying pan. Suddenly, all the contents of the mortar fell right on top of the ham. The girl carefully tried to get the pepper surplus out of the pan, but that wouldn't help, and the filling became pungent and bitter at the same time. From somewhere in her head, Red Riding Hood knew that a spicy taste can be mitigated with something sweet, so she added a spoonful of sugar to the pan. She squeezed the juice from a lemon to balance out the sweetness. Afterwards, she lavishly salted the filling and carefully stirred it up. Oh my goodness. When the filling cooled off, mother and daughter shaped lots of pastries and baked them. It was time to decide who would carry them. Mother says to Little Red Riding Hood, "Why don't you, my Little Red Riding Hood, go visit your granny, bring her a pot of butter, and find out if she's fine?" And Red Riding Hood replies, "Okay." God, they're so uncanny looking. Red Riding Hood took the basket with pastries and left. It was quiet and warm in the forest. Lots of snow fell during the night, which was loudly crunching underfoot. "Wait a minute," said the perplexed sister. "Where'd the snow come from? It was summer a few minutes ago." "They have a continental climate. Besides, who's the storyteller, you or me?" replied her brother. "Okay, keep going." Red Riding Hood was walking along the path admiring snow-covered trees when suddenly she heard a voice from behind her back. "Hello, child." Red Riding Hood nearly jumped with surprise. When she turned around and saw the wolf, she froze on the spot. "What's your name?" asked the predator. "Red Riding Hood," answered the little girl, and when she finally pulled herself together. "Pull yourself together, damn it!" "And where are you going, and what are you carrying?" asked the wolf, looking back at the basket. "I'm visiting my granny. I'm bringing pastries and a pot of butter for her." "I guess those are pastries with the meat," said the wolf, sniffing the air. "My sweet Red Riding Hood, let me taste one pastry, please." "Sure, give him a pastry. You don't want him to eat you." Red Riding Hood didn't want to be mean. Besides, she had lots of pastries in the basket, so she took a few out and carefully placed them in the snow. The pastries smelled really good. Wolf licked his lips and started to chew one of them. "Ugh, how terrible." For a few seconds, Wolf was angrily spitting out bits of pastry, and afterwards he said, "For treating me to pastries, I will give you a chance. If you eat at least one of your pastries, I will let you go, but if you don't, I'll eat you." Her hands shaking with fear, Red Riding Hood took a pastry. She took one bite and discovered how disgusting its taste was. It was very hard to eat. Let's just finish it by sheer willpower." Red Riding Hood carefully tasted the pastry. It was very, very nasty. The girl felt a chill moving down her spine. She had serious doubts she'd be able to eat the whole thing, but the girl pulled her strength and began to eat the pastry. During the process, she held her nose, which helped her not taste that terrible pastry. Wolf was very astonished that Red Riding Hood was able to finish the pastry, but kept his promise and let her go. After her stressful experience with Wolf, Red Riding Hood couldn't think clearly. The thought didn't come at all to her that there was no point in bringing those terrible pastries to Granny. She just continued walking. Well, the butter, she still needs the butter, right? Suddenly, the weather began to get worse. The wind became stronger and it started to snow. It was growing colder by the minute as well. Red Riding Hood was now walking slowly and she was feeling quite sick. The path was covered with snow, so Red Riding Hood was walking randomly along the path. Knee-deep in the snow, revisiting strong gusts of wind, the girl was pushing forward with some difficulty. Eventually, she fell to the ground, exhausted. How'd she get here? Because there's no footsteps, there's no prints in front or behind her, so how'd she get here? "I'm going to rest a little, and then I'll continue walking," she thought out loud. Meanwhile, a woodcutter, who was caught unawares by the storm, was hurrying to get home. Suddenly, it seemed to him that he saw what looked like something red on the ground right in front of the path. Without second thoughts, the man switched direction, considering it his duty to find out what that was. He was looking intently through the blowing snow so as to not lose the object from his sight. When he came close enough, he saw a girl in a red hat lying in the snow. He carefully gave her a slap on the cheek, but she wouldn't come to her senses. Just pitch slapped her right across the face, and she still didn't come to her senses. So the woodcutter took her into his arms and decided to bring her home. The basket and the pot he left on the spot. At home, the woodcutter was warmly greeted by his wife and father, who were worried about him. The woodcutter told them that he had found a little girl in the forest who was freezing. The woodcutter's wife promptly put the girl on the warm stove, covered her with a blanket, and went to make some tea. Soon, the girl came to her senses. She couldn't understand where she was and who all those strange people were. When the woodcutter's wife saw that the girl had regained consciousness, she went over and began asking a few questions. "My husband, the woodcutter, found you unconscious in the snow. You are at our house. What is your name? And what are you doing in the forest during the snowstorm?" asked the woman, offering a cup of tea to the girl with outstretched hands. My name is Red Riding Hood. I was walking to see my granny. I was bringing her pastries and a pot of butter," replied the girl, drinking the warm tea with pleasure. Where does your granny live? At the edge of the forest. Oh, that's not so far from here, exclaimed the woodcutter's wife. We didn't know that there's someone's house nearby. When the snowstorm was over, the woodcutter wanted to accompany Red Riding Hood back to her home, but she said that she really had to visit her granny. Hearing this, the elderly father of the woodcutter entered the conversation. He said that he knew the forest well and would make sure Red Riding Hood reached her grandmother, and the woodcutter should take rest after his hard work in carrying the little girl to safety. So it was decided. First, Red Riding Hood, the woodcutter's father, went back to the trail. There, they found the partially snow-covered basket with pastries and the pot of butter. After taking the girl's belongings, the two wayfarers went north. Soon, they reached Granny's house. Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. "Who is it?" a tired voice responded. "It's your granddaughter and the woodcutter's father." "Oh," she exclaimed the old lady. Sorry, this whole thing is so ridiculous. Look at the reflection. Look at the fucked up reflection. Ah, pull the string, my dear, and enter. The old man and the girl entered the house. "I'm almost ready," flirtatiously said the elderly woman, while hiding behind a screen, changing into something appropriately comfortable. When the old woman appeared in front of her guests, Red Riding Hood was astonished to notice a new cap and dress Granny had on. Oh, this is so stupid. "I'm very glad to get acquainted, madam," said the old man while kissing the old woman's hand. "Likewise," she replied, smiling. Grandpa and Granny had talked a lot. It turned out they had a great deal in common. They liked each other and began to date, and after a few months they got married. Look at how pissed she is. Oh, we got the romantic ending. Great. Is that the right story, Red Riding Hood? Of course, Mother just shortened the version for you. I see. Well, maybe you'll tell it to me one more time so I can remember it. No, I think we're good with that ending because we have one more story to get to today. The last story we will be doing is The Barbarian in the Subterranean Caves, which is a demo of one that we could purchase. These stories were all free. This was all a free download, but then they have other ones that you can buy and add on to it as like a DLC thing. But I'm not gonna buy any of them. We're just gonna do the demo. If this video gets enough interest, I will happily purchase all of the DLC they have because they're fairly cheap. But if there's not enough interest, then this is just where we're gonna leave it because there's no reason for me to keep doing this. This looks great. Let's start it. The Barbarian in the Subterranean Caves. Oh my, I might have to blur that. Maybe not have to blur that. Oh, we can choose some skills. Ooh, attention to detail, deception, recognition. Let's use thievery, attention to detail, and literacy. Ragnar's been traveling for many days. When the stone walls and towers of another city began to rise up in the distant horizon, the Lemurian was glad that he could rest and replenish his supplies. Moreover, he could find a mercenary job in cities. Ragnar slowly walked through the city. As usual, streets were full of people. At first light, the locals and newcomers engulfed the streets, forming noisy streams of human bodies and enlivening the city that seemed empty and lifeless during the night. The bright sun was scorching. The muscular frame of Lemurian's body shone in its rays, commanding men's respect and creating admiration in the eyes of women. Right. One lass that showed up in the street was looking especially attractive to Ragnar, a slender figure with tempting curves. Well, she can't be slender and have tempting curves, right? Like, that's not how that works. It's like two different body types, right? Gorgeous breasts clearly visible under the thin fabric of her cloak, long hair tied up in a ponytail, dark expressive eyes, and full lips. It was enough to make the man follow her, but the stranger quickly turned into one of the numerous side streets and disappeared into the crowd. What? Okay. Damn it, murmured Ragnar. He decided to find the beauty later and moved on. That sounds like stalking, bro. What you doing, creep? Soon, a group of people standing separately drew his attention. Men were abuzz like a beehive. Ragnar approached for a closer look. I love this dude over here who's just wearing like either chainmail pants and no shirt or like sequined pants and no shirt. And then this dude's just wearing like rope pants. It's great. I love this era, whatever this is. He was surprised that men didn't pay attention to his appearance because people would often step aside upon seeing Lumerian's massive, tall figure. Yeah, no, he's like the same height as all the other dudes. I've got to find out what's going on there, thought Ragnar. He began to elbow his way through. At this moment, his high, stately figure resembled a rock racing above the surface of a stormy sea. This is written like a really bad romance novel. When Ragnar approached close enough, he saw an announcement posted on a stone wall. I'm going to read the announcement. Anyone who kills the beast and brings its head as proof will be generously rewarded. From Chamberlain Abu Ali Abu Har. God. That's what I need, thought Ragnar, who couldn't lose an opportunity to earn money because he was always in need of it. Well, now, wait a minute. Is he, like, famous and stately and stuff, or is he not? Because, like, one of those kind of implies money. He smiled, anticipating some gold soon, and decided to go to the Chamberlain immediately. The Chamberlain received the visitor at once, when he was informed of the purpose of his visit. Ragnar entered the richly decorated room with confidence. He was met by a short, well-fed man in a brocaded garment and a turban on his head, which was adorned by a brooch with a large gemstone. "Greetings, warrior," the Chamberlain said, the thin mustache joined with his beard as his smile stretched wide. Look at this background. I can't. It just can't. There's so much. There's so many patterns. There's so much happening. What is this? What are these? This is just so much going on. I am Abu Ali Abu Har, the Chamberlain of this city. Please come in and have a seat. When inviting the guest to sit on a luxurious sofa, the Chamberlain made a smooth gesture with his hand, and a large ruby encased in a massive ring, beautifying his plump finger, began to twinkle. What is your name? Ragnar Lumerian. What that word? Answered the man sitting down on soft pillows. When the Chamberlain noticed how the sofa sagged under the weight of his guest, he stood motionless for a moment, but in a second found himself more confident because he was a bit taller compared to the seated Ragnar. Is it two alpha bros just going at it with how confident they are in their masculinity and shit. Oh my god. People disappear in our city, started Abu Ali. A few water carriers went missing. Apparently the beast caught them by the well where they draw water. Why do you think so? A few times people saw inhuman footprints there. Inhuman. Understand? The beast probably... Yeah, I understand. I got the literacy skill, okay? I got that skill. I chose that one in the beginning. I understand. The beast probably lives in the caves under the well. What will you say, mighty warrior? Will you kill this creature? And what will be my reward? Asked Ragnar. His stern look made Chamberlain shiver. I'm offering good money. 1,000 coins. Just coins, not any specific, just coins. What the Lumerian heard made him smile with satisfaction. Great, I agree. After those words, he abruptly rose from the sofa. To prove that the job is done, I will bring back its head, said Ragnar, heading towards the exit. Abu Ali exhaled with relief, very glad that this meeting was over. The appearance of his guest seemed by far too wild and threatening for his tastes. When the sun's first rays appeared from behind the horizon and lit up the sky and the ground, Ragnar was already standing by the well. There, in the dry mud, were lots of solidified tracks. Knobs on the ground cast queer shadows in the light of the rising sun. Except for footprints left by rough shoes, Ragnar noticed monster tracks, half as large as his own feet, with 4 fingers clasped tight to one another. What does that mean? You just mean like 4 toes? You saw some toes on them feet? They were... This is so ridiculous. They were covering the ground in a 2-meter radius, but led nowhere. Another pair of tracks, unusual for this place, caught his eye. Rather small, neat, well-sized, and expensive shoes, which were so unlike the wooden shoes of the water carriers. Oh, is it Abu? It was also curious that footprints of those feet could be seen on the road, to the well, and by the shrubs. Ragnar hemmed thoughtfully and went to the caves. By the dungeon's entrance, he ignited a torch, which he had the foresight to take. He resolutely stepped inside. End of the demo. Well, that was... Look, it's the something. That was riveting. That was not the best one. But like I said, if this video gets enough views, likes, comments, I don't know, something, some metric of some kind. Let's say this video gets 500 views and I will purchase the DLC and I will make another video with whatever DLC they have. So that's the deal. You guys know what to do. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, go to the links in the description, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another video. Bye.